Potiphar was the captain of Pharaoh's guard, a man of great influence, wealth, and his household was known for its prosperity and order, until the day his wife, driven by desires, attempted to seduce a young slave known for his beauty, named Joseph. This led to false accusations, intrigues, and even gender changes that shocked history. In this, you will discover why Potiphar is involved in one of the most controversial stories of the Bible and how it serves as a lesson about relationships and life. This is Potiphar, and this is his story. Since the dawn of time, humanity has witnessed cultural and social practices that challenge our current understanding of gender identity. Incredibly, the idea of changing sex is not something recent, but rather a practice that dates back to ancient times, especially during the empires of the Medes and Persians. At that time, changing sex was seen almost as a norm, deeply integrated into the complex social and political dynamics of those societies. Biblical stories offer us a glimpse into these practices. They reveal, for example, that powerful leaders, like Xerxes, who ruled with an iron fist, resorted to sex change as a strategy to ensure their personal safety and maintain absolute control over the royal palace. Men who wished to serve in the palace were often subjected to a radical procedure: castration. This practice not only ensured the loyalty of the king's wives, preventing infidelities, but also transformed these men into completely submissive servants to the king. They were used in celebrations and festivities, fulfilling a very specific role in the court. Another notable example comes from the reign of King Nebuchadnezzar, who had the custom of mutilating people captured in his conquests. This brutality served as a means of punishment for the subjugated peoples, permanently marking them with the scars of their defeat. These stories lead us to reflect on the extremes to which societies can go in the name of power, control, and sometimes love. They make us question how far we are willing to go in pursuit of what we desire or believe to be necessary. The story of Potiphar and Joseph, though set in a very different context, echoes these same issues of desire, power, and personal sacrifice. This cruel method of King Nebuchadnezzar was used not only to inflict physical pain but also to send a terrifying message to future enemies. By mutilating prisoners, King Nebuchadnezzar was not just defeating an enemy. He was attempting to break the spirit of an entire nation. These actions left permanent scars, not only on the bodies but also on the souls of those who survived. Imagine the fear and despair that spread among the people, knowing that defeat could result in something much worse than death: the loss of their very essence and identity. This tactic of war had a clear purpose: to intimidate and ensure that the mutilated remained submissive, incapable of challenging the dominant power. The threat of mutilation became a psychological weapon even before battles began, planting the seed of submission in the hearts of potential adversaries. A particularly dark moment in this story occurred in 587 BC when the Babylonian army, led by Nebuchadnezzar, besieged the city of Jerusalem. This siege led to the destruction of the sacred temple and the capture of King Zedekiah, whose reign was already marked by challenges and growing threats. Ignoring the warnings of the prophets, Zedekiah sought support from Egypt, which enraged Nebuchadnezzar. This act of betrayal provoked a brutal response. With the imminent fall of Jerusalem, Zedekiah attempted to escape secretly but was captured and brought before Nebuchadnezzar for a judgment that would decide his fate. This makes us reflect on the lasting impact of war, not just in terms of material and human losses, but also the profound psychological and emotional suffering that accompanies these acts of violence. In this dark episode of history, King Nebuchadnezzar took extreme measures against Zedekiah and his family, in an attempt to completely annihilate their lineage and influence. The punishment inflicted was both physical and emotional, starting with a horrendous act before the very eyes of Zedekiah himself. Nebuchadnezzar ordered that Zedekiah's sons be mutilated right in front of him. This act had two clear objectives. First, to cause indescribable pain to Zedekiah by forcing him to witness such violence against his own children. And second, to ensure that his lineage would be unable to claim power or challenge Babylonian authority in the future. But Nebuchadnezzar did not stop there. After mutilating his sons, he also blinded Zedekiah, further symbolizing his total defeat and humiliation before the Babylonian Empire. Taken captive to Babylon, Zedekiah faced a long period of suffering and deprivation, marked by eternal darkness, and the loss of everything that had been his world. But let's get to the main story, easily found in the book of Genesis in the Bible. It begins with a young man named Joseph, who was the center of a sinister plan orchestrated by his own brothers. Motivated by jealousy and resentment due to their father's favoritism towards Joseph, his brothers initially planned to kill him. However, Reuben, the eldest brother, proposed a less drastic alternative. Instead of killing Joseph, they would throw him into a dry cistern, with Reuben secretly intending to rescue him later and return him to their father. But plans changed when a group of Ishmaelite traders passed by. Judah, another of Joseph's brothers, saw an opportunity and suggested they sell Joseph as a slave to the traders. The brothers agreed, and Joseph was sold for 20 pieces of silver, taken far from his home and family to Egypt. There, Joseph was purchased by Potiphar, a high-ranking Egyptian official and captain of Pharaoh's guard. The story doesn't go into great detail about Potiphar's origins, but it's clear he held a position of great influence and trust within the Egyptian realm. As captain of Pharaoh's guard and possibly a minister, Potiphar was not just a military leader but also a trusted advisor to Pharaoh. Some interpretations even suggest that Potiphar could have been a royal executioner, responsible for carrying out Pharaoh's death sentences, highlighting his strategic position and authority in the court. Upon arriving at Potiphar's house, Joseph quickly stands out for his abilities and intelligence. He is promoted to administrator, responsible for all of Potiphar's property and business. This rapid advancement not only showcases Joseph's exceptional skills, but also the trust and respect Potiphar had for him. Under Joseph's supervision, everything in Potiphar's household thrives, signaling a mutually beneficial relationship between them. Joseph's story takes an unexpected and tense turn when his remarkable beauty catches the attention not only of Potiphar but also of his wife. The situation is fraught. As Joseph rises in position in Potiphar's household, due to his loyalty and skill, he finds himself in the middle of a complicated and dangerous situation. Potiphar's wife, attracted to Joseph, attempts to seduce him. However, Joseph stands firm in his moral and ethical values, refusing her advances. Frustrated and humiliated by the rejection, Potiphar's wife does not take no for an answer. In retaliation, she falsely accuses Joseph of trying to rape her. This unjust accusation puts Joseph in a terrible position. He is arrested and thrown into jail, despite his innocence. Even behind bars, and without letting himself be defeated, Joseph continues to impress everyone around him with his remarkable abilities, especially in interpreting dreams. During his time in prison, Joseph encounters two inmates who were troubled by mysterious dreams. They were the Pharaoh's chief cupbearer and baker, each with a dream they could not understand. Joseph, with his divine ability to interpret dreams, offers his help. He interprets the dream of the chief cupbearer, who saw a vine with 3 branches that budded and produced grapes, which he squeezed into the Pharaoh's cup. Joseph predicts that, in 3 days, the cupbearer would be reinstated in his position and would return to serving the Pharaoh. On the other hand, the baker's dream was more ominous. He dreamt of 3 baskets of bread on his head, with birds eating the pastry products intended for the Pharaoh from the highest basket. Joseph interprets this dream as a bad omen. In 3 days, the baker would be executed, and birds would eat his flesh. As Joseph had predicted, the dreams come true. The chief cupbearer is reinstated, but the baker faces a tragic fate. Joseph's talent for interpreting dreams becomes known, but what is even more remarkable is his resilience and integrity in the face of injustice and suffering. His ability to interpret dreams, along with his firm adherence to his principles. After accurately interpreting the dreams of his fellow prisoners, Joseph continues to face hard times behind bars. Hope for freedom briefly flickers when the chief cupbearer, benefited by Joseph's correct interpretation of his dream, is reinstated to his position alongside the Pharaoh. Unfortunately, once free and back to his everyday life, the chief cupbearer completely forgets the promise he made to Joseph to mention him to the Pharaoh. Thus, Joseph remains in prison, facing more challenges and continuing to impress everyone with his ability to interpret dreams, even without immediate hope for release. Everything changes when the Pharaoh himself is troubled by disturbing dreams that neither he nor his advisors can unravel. It is at this critical moment that the chief cupbearer finally remembers Joseph and his incredible interpretive ability. Joseph is quickly brought before the Pharaoh, where he interprets the ruler's dreams as divine omens. 7 years of abundance will be followed by 7 years of severe famine throughout Egypt. Joseph advises the Pharaoh to act according to this divine revelation, preparing the country for the future. He suggests storing food during the years of abundance to ensure that Egypt can survive the forthcoming years of scarcity. Joseph's interpretation and proposed action plan deeply impress the Pharaoh, who recognizes Joseph's wisdom and prudence, as well as his special connection to God. In recognition of his insight and administrative skills, Joseph is elevated to a position of great power in Egypt, becoming nothing less than the governor of the country. Under Joseph's direction, Egypt begins a program of collecting and storing food during the 7 years of abundance, ensuring that the nation is well prepared for the 7 years of famine that would follow. Joseph's efficient management allows Egypt not only to survive the famine but also to aid other nations during this period. Interestingly, during this time of transition and change, Potiphar, the Egyptian official who had bought Joseph as a slave, changes his name to Potiphar. In ancient Egyptian society, changing a person's name was a significant event, often reflecting a profound transformation in their identity or role within the community. The transition from Potiphar to Potiphar is an intriguing example of this practice, suggesting a substantial change in the life of this biblical character. Potiphar, a name evoking the idea of something being cut or removed, may indicate a radical change, not just in social status, but also in Potiphar's personal and spiritual identity. Beyond this name change, Potiphar takes on a new role as a priest, adding a layer of complexity to the narrative. In ancient Egypt, priests held positions of great respect and power. They were mediators between the people and the divine, involved in rituals and religious practices aimed at maintaining harmony between the material and spiritual worlds. For Potiphar, becoming a priest might have represented an attempt to reconnect with the divine or to seek a new purpose following the dramatic events involving Joseph. Some interpretations suggest that Potiphar's transformation into Potiphar, including his decision to mutilate himself, was motivated by his complex relationship with Joseph. Unrequited passion for Joseph could have led Potiphar to seek an extreme change, both in his body and spirit, as a gesture of devotion or as a way to cope with his emotional pain. In this complex scenario, the Pharaoh plays a crucial role by uniting Joseph with Asenath, Potiphar's daughter. Joseph, despite being raised in a household of faith different from the Egyptian one, does not oppose marrying Asenath. This marriage, orchestrated by the Pharaoh, appears to be a strategy to prevent potential conflicts or accusations from Potiphar against Joseph. Joseph, after being unjustly accused by his former lady and facing numerous challenges, finds himself in a position of great power in Egypt. Now as governor, he understands the importance of forming strategic alliances to secure his position and promote stability. In this context, his marriage to Asenath, the daughter of an Egyptian priest, emerges not just as an opportunity for love or family union but as a tactical move. By marrying into an influential Egyptian family, Joseph not only secures social support and acceptance but also paves the way to influence his new family with his own values and beliefs, in a setting that is culturally distinct from his own. This stage of Joseph's life is not just a testament to his ability to navigate political and social complexities. It also reflects his maturity and wisdom in incorporating aspects of Egyptian culture into his life, without losing sight of his roots and values. By integrating into Egyptian society through marriage, Joseph finds a way to live his faith and maintain his beliefs in a new and challenging context. The story of Joseph is a timeless narrative that transcends the boundaries of history, culture, and religion, offering profound insights into human nature, divine intervention, and the power of resilience. From the depths of betrayal and injustice to the heights of governance and influence in a foreign land, Joseph's journey encapsulates the essence of forgiveness, strategic wisdom, and the unwavering belief in a greater plan beyond immediate hardships. Joseph's ability to forgive his brothers, despite their severe betrayal, and his capacity to use his position of power not for revenge but for the preservation and prosperity of his family and an entire nation, speaks volumes about his character and the moral of the story. It highlights how forgiveness can transform personal pain into a source of strength and redemption, not just for the individual, but for many. Moreover, Joseph's story emphasizes the importance of adaptability and the integration of one's values and beliefs into different cultural contexts. His strategic marriage to Asenath, while initially a move for political and social stability, becomes a bridge between his past and his present, allowing him to maintain his identity while also embracing his role within Egyptian society. At its core, the narrative of Joseph teaches us about the unpredictable nature of life and the presence of divine providence guiding events beyond our understanding. It encourages readers to maintain faith and integrity, even when faced with seemingly insurmountable challenges, and to remain open to the lessons and opportunities that adversities may present. I hope you have been inspired by today's story. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell so you don't miss our future videos. And now, why not continue your journey with us by clicking on one of the videos that appear on the screen? Let's dive together into more fascinating stories and life lessons.